Kello, Wonder Chef, we'll say goodbye to you for the moment, but I know you will be back here very soon to discuss these grand finals. Zoinks, here we go, buddy. Nouns Gen 5 for the EU Regional Championship.
All right, time to crown a brand new champion, or Nouns looking maybe for a repeat run if they can find it. We're going to have that Blissey and then Zacian band. So again, like we imagined, Gen 5 not going to get that Pokemon in our for game number 1. And Gen 5 responding with the bands I was talking about before. That Snorlax Suicune band feels like the correct recipe against Nouns Esports.
Snorlax has just been ticking up match after match after match as far as bans are concerned. Now, to the other side, Alolan Raichu is available. We'll see if they want to grab that or if they want to take something away from Nouns right here. Locking in the Hoopa early. Next pick here for Megu. We're going to see what they want to grab. And they're actually going to grab Lundaru's Mewtwo. Why?
Okay, so likely no Alolan Raichu for the orange side of the map, right? We are going to see that Mewtwo Y locked in. Very often that's picked up by Lundaru. You could see Snow pick up that Pokemon, but not likely going to be changed up. So now Esports, they have this Gyarados to work with. They won't have the Trick Hoopa, but Ender has loved this Psyduck. And yet again, Lapras with a only 8% pick rate, but if we're talking just top 8, it is way past that.
Yeah, I mean, Ender's Psyduck is amazing. Doob Snacks earlier was alluding to how well it was doing out here in Duckburg, and I really think that's where Ender is living right now. Lapras, an incredible choice, it feels like, for Nouns. So much so that teams have banned it away, which, if you would have told me that before this weekend, I would have slapped you in the mouth.
Yeah, and I would have deserved it. But take a look at this. Snow locking in Absol next to that Metagross. A bit of a surprise to me. Obviously, going into some more attack damage focused Pokemon into Lapras, likely a little bit better. But Absol, a speedster that was absolutely everywhere. Metas passed, and ever since then, it is really has only been Talonflame, the major speedster, kind of walking away. Maybe an argument for Darkrai.
And look at this here. We have Aegislash making its way into another match. I felt like the Aegislash was very powerful that last game. I think it actually is a great call. Some interesting choices from these teams. We've seen Dragonite. It is a 1% pick rate. I saw a Desu playing it earlier in the group stage, so that is a really exciting pick here. And this is kind of a wild start to this series. Obviously, Gen 5 has a lot of games, right? They need to win a whole bunch. So I think this is the time where you can maybe throw some curveballs early, and then from Nouns, you can really bring out something that you think is a comfort pick of your own that you haven't used yet.
Yeah, I don't know what bingo board Utah is playing off of in terms of their Pokemon selection, but it includes Dragonite, Tyranitar, and really some wild choices from that player. Basically, as long as it is a hyper-scaling Pokemon, it will be equipped because they have an attacker player in Lunder that is very comfortable with the Light Ball.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like they've really leaned into that strategy. I love that more teams are playing like this with some of their attacker Pokemon, you know. We're finding different ways to funnel experience around the map. Obviously, EXP Share, one of the most overpowered items in the entire game, essentially creating experience out of thin air and allowing one of your more experience-hungry Pokemon to get their levels early. Well, we're going to be heading into our match here in just one moment. I cannot wait for these grand finals. I'm sure everyone in EU, I guarantee it's pretty split on which one of these teams you want to be your champion. But either way, both of these teams are going to represent you at Worlds, which is pretty dang amazing.
So exciting, and obviously that champion spot. You've had a chance to do the group draft draw a couple of times. Having that champion spot put you at the head of the group can be exciting.
Here we go, Zoinks. Nouns Esports, your purple team. Gen 5, your orange team. These are your grand finals here in EU.
All right, Sazero on a mad dash to attempt to steal some buffs, but I think easily spotted out immediately by Toon Slim on that Honedge. So they will be trying to shut that down. Here on the bottom side, though, it will be a slow knockdown, drag-out fight. Lapras, so good against this Mewtwo Y, can just reduce a ton of that auto attack damage and just hang out in these fights a lot longer. But the backup here in the central area could be very important for Indy to watch.
And you can see, you know, obviously we're trying to get this Magikarp online as quickly as possible. It has pretty dang good secure early, but it's going to be pressured right now by the Hoopa, trying to stop a lot of this from being secured here.
All All right, so now Megu almost at that level 5, trying to outpace that Magikarp. So far, so good, looking to evolve into that Metang and likely have access to that Gyro Ball. Really powerful move as soon as these first birds start, because it is a forced melee fight.
Here comes Toon, looking to possibly start this fight, moving in with the Sacred Sword, but having to peel back right now. Snow at level 5, Megu at level 5, just a scary place for them to be. Nouns, without the Gyarados online, really can't move in and engage there.
Yeah, and obviously they're finally going to get that Gyarados evolution, so Gatlu won't be hit down for too long, and immediately starts joining the fray up there on the top side. But Bruv doing a decent amount of damage to these two, but again, this bottom fight is just really a war of attrition between these two. A lot of HP, a lot of defenses in that bottom side, so there's going to be a lot of poke damage until a major team fight around a Reggie starts popping off.
Sazero, an absolute force on this Hoopa so far, just putting so much pressure on the side of Nouns, and you can see it in the levels here. I mean, we've got a level 7 on the side of Gen 5. The closest thing is a level 6 from Nouns as we get ready for this fight at 8 minutes, and Nouns is going to be a little behind right here.
Ooh, yeah, I mean, already taken down. You can just see the effects of the Psycho Cut from the Absol, just, you know, shades of what happened in the past just a moment ago. But yeah, I'm glad you mentioned Sazero, a very uncharacteristic, aggressive playstyle. So far, when we've seen this Hoopa, it has been just taking the red buff and joining these and kind of playing this anti-stack game. But instead, as soon as the Gyarados hits the field, Sazero just finds maybe a better angle, and they start entering the central area.
Wow, and we have the waterfall peeling away from this fight, and you can see the power right there of Psyduck, just pushing them away with Surf so they cannot continue that engagement. Now in the bottom path right here, Yutao is being dove on by this Lapras, pushed away from this goal zone so that they can score, and we do have Mewtwo Y coming down here to the bottom path, but possibly just coming down for a quick KO, and they do go down.
Yeah, really tough position. You see Lunder kind of rotating up there, maybe to join in this top fight push. Yutao does send out the warning signal. They get the backup, but a little bit too late. So it's going to be Gen 5 looking to try to take their advantage elsewhere. Topside looking okay. Sazero going to dunk 22 and have a safe Phantom Force exit.
Yeah, and it looks like we're just ripping apart Regieleki right now. Registeel going down in that bottom path. Regieleki going down in that top path, and that is going to push towards this top goal zone. Reggie looking to score, and it does, bringing the goal zone defenseless down to 29 points. Inder somehow getting away from that, able to score right there. Now they're going to put points into this top goal zone. The only question is how many are they going to score and how fast are they going to do it? Obviously, once they break this, they open up a lot of experience for the side of Nouns.
There's a world where you just leave it, right? Because the next Regieleki landing would leave that goal zone at 2. So it looks like Gen 5 are going to rotate away from it, not take advantage of that defenseless goal zone, and instead hope for the future that you're going to have another big push. Mewtwo Y will go down, and Desu catches that with the stored power. Sazero in danger with the shielding going there onto Megu, looking fantastic.
Yeah, it looks like we've got a future sight here from Desu. So you're going to look for a lot of damage, but not the secure that you might expect here from Espeon. It looks like you do have that, however, from the Aegislash. Toon going very deep into that fight and getting taken down.
Yeah, I think believing their wide guard would protect them in that moment, but the Absol Unite move plus that Psycho Cut bonus, just a little bit too much, even for a defense form Aegislash to deal with. Hey, Desu picking up all 3 targets with that Psychic Solaire is fantastic, and Gatlu gonna be that hammer onto the anvil of the Espeon. Fantastic play between those two.
This has just been a knockdown, drag-out fight from start to finish. We just keep pushing towards the enemy team. Big-time wide guard using those boosteds to reset Sacred Sword. Coming back through the fight, Unite move, but I don't think it's going to be enough, and they do go down. We do have Dragonite online now, which is huge. It's also level 10.
Yeah, and it is Hyper Beam. So Yutao kind of sticking to their wheelhouse of liking hyper-objective focused Pokemon.
Quite literally.
Yeah, in this way, even transforming that into a beam of sorts. In the past, more of a punch.
Yes, of course. Yes, there are different looks for the Hyper situation here, but right now it's a Hyper Beam. Gatlu peeling away from this fight. Going to be an interesting situation. Both of these Pokemon have okay secure, but Megu is actually ready to brawl here against Gary, and they could be looking to make a sneaky score happen. Gatlu picks up on that, peeling back towards this Tier 1 goal zone. While we have a fight breaking out in the center right here, Mewtwo Y going down here to the Aegislash.
Yeah, Toonslim picking up a knockout of that level 9 Mewtwo Y, but it's the Absol going down, I think, so a little more pivotal. Hyper Beam is ready to go. Yutao lining it up. Will get secure. Brings it so incredibly low, but a Desu the one to close the door on that basement Reggie.
The caster curse right there hit me pretty hard as I said that Espeon wasn't going to secure anything. And no, I'm not referring to the caster curse where you're stuck inside of a giant screen. Doob Snacks is dealing with that.
Ugh, we really got a feel for the guy.
I don't know.
Hey, it's coming for you too.
It'll get us all one day. The screen will take us all.
All the members of Gen 5 at that moment, about half HP. Gatlu definitely maybe sensing blood in the water with that Gyarados and that waterfall. But a stun from Sauceros Hoopa kind of puts that to a stop, at least for the moment. Absol again in some danger, but Gen 5 right now on a mission to level up as quickly as they can. That second Regieleki we talked about being a major focus with that goal zone at 22 has spawned in, but it's Nouns Esports the first ones to rotate to it.
Yeah, Nouns is kind of ready for this here, and I don't think there's much Gen 5 is going to do. We have these tier 1 goal zones up in the bottom path, and there's definitely some good arguments for breaking it. There are also good arguments for leaving it right here, trying to get as much experience as you possibly can, and then scoring on it later. Regieleki getting very low. Gyarados under the water right now, looking for a possible secure. It's up into the air, and they do get the secure. Great plays there from Gatlu. They're going to continue the push. Beautiful play there from Espeon. They were able to get the reset on their stored power. Double KO in the top path.
Wow, Snow really trying to turn that situation around with an Absol Unite move, but foiled by the rest of Nouns Esports, who are still stacked up with all 5 members. Bubble Beam trying to get a little bit of disruption from that Lapras, and Aegislash from Toonslim still trying to push through onto this goal zone, but not enough firepower. Toonslim can't cut through that high defensive pressure, especially when Tier 2 just heals so much.
You have to love the play there from Nouns. Obviously what they were doing, they're not trying to win in this bottom path. They would love it if they could, but they were trying to make sure that both of those Pokemon could not recall, head to the top path to deal with Regieleki. However, Gen 5 was able to push them off of that goal zone even without the support. 20 seconds until the first Rayquaza of our grand finals, and this match is very close.
Yeah, I mean, Gen 5 in a very awkward position at the moment. A lot of their Pokemon having to level up and farm at the moment. Metagross in particular only at level 12 and without a Unite move. I'm sure that's about to change with those Indeedis they're knocking out. They got the level 13 benchmark, but still no compute and crash. Inder already finding some good information in that top tall grass.
Yeah, he learned a lot. There's at least one Pokemon there, possibly more. The Bubble Beam picks up the Mewtwo Y, and now Nouns is in a commanding position, up by over 100 right here. We have Metagross scoring in the bottom path, though, could change that in a big way. Adesu moving down to stop them, and here comes the Hoopa Unite move. They're bringing the team through.
100 points did go in. By the way, Lapras does hit 2 targets up. Both Absol and Metagross knocked sky high. Snow does have that future sight. Gatlu takes out the KO. It's all chaos towards that Rayquaza, and the final hit is going to go to Nouns Esports. What a clutch from that team. Great push by Bruv to set things up, and the Espeon with play after play in that final fight.
Beautiful stuff from Adesu. I mean, talk about a Pokemon without secure.
Yeah.
It's going to be that Espeon right there. One thing is for sure, they are securing huge amounts of KOs for their side. Gen 5 trying to make a play with the score in the bottom path and saying even if it doesn't work out, we can bring them right in for this fight. They were behind Nouns kind of this entire time, not able to make something happen in the in this Ray fight. Nouns, it feels like, has played so well in some of these moments where their opponents want Ray. They are just surgical with their KOs, picking them apart and trying to do no damage to Rayquaza at the same time.
And you've got a pretty challenging choice in that enemy composition, right? It's Absol with Unite move and it's Dragonite with Hyper Beam. Both of them have ridiculous levels of objective secure, but they do choose the Absol in that moment. Amazing future sight sets it up really, really low. Gatlu's Gyarados able to finish it off. And I do think that ends up being the correct decision. Toonslim can kind of make some magic happen with the Aegislash fighting against the Dragonite, and it all works out for Nouns Esports. It's still pretty close to call, but in the end, Nouns Esports is going to hang out on that enemy goal zone. Bruv's going to pose for us, and that is going to be game 1. Nouns Esports with a lead in our best of 5.
Yeah, I mean, Nouns looked pretty incredible right there, I would say. I loved a lot of what they right here. Well, let's head into this next draft. Gen 5 Nouns. Gen 5 is going to be your first pick, first ban here, Zoinks.
Okay, I mean, I don't think there's much of a reason to change too much of your draft strategy going into Game 2. But they are going to be banning away the Gyarados, so something new, and Nouns Esports actually going to be the first ones to ban the Suicune. No surprise there, 81% ban rate. Snorlax, let's tick it up a little bit higher, now at 24.
Zacian getting the ban as well. So two really popular top path Pokemon not going to be making it into this game. As we look to our first pick here for Gen 5, they could steal away this Lapras, but Psyduck is on the menu.
Yeah, even a Pokemon like Blissey or someone like that, Alolan Raichu technically could be a viable option, and Gen 5 currently hovering the Alolan Raichu at the moment. It will be locked in. Lunderin gonna be bringing in the newest Pokemon.
And we'll take a look at what Nouns wants to do in response. I mean, it feels like they absolutely love the duck. I think Inder's been incredible on it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if we see that snapped up very quickly right here. But we're going to see how they want to play this. Bruv, hovering Gengar. That doesn't sound like something that's about to happen.
I was just going to say, I don't know if we've seen Inder play much Hoopa, but they also haven't been given the opportunity to play very much Hoopa. A lot of the time, first pick position, they've been grabbing that Psyduck. So now it's a bit of a question towards Sazura. They're saying, how good is your duck? Because ours is clearly incredible. Will be the Hoopa locked in and the Talonflame likely looking towards some trick shenanigans.
Yeah, I mean, it's such an incredible combination, right? As we have Blissey and Slowbro. Slowbro's great against Talon.
Sure.
Talon wants to jump in with that Brave Bird. You catch it with the Slow Beam, and you can shut it down in a big way. Obviously, you can't get it out of there with anything that Nouns has, right? You don't have Blissey. You don't have that Bliss assistance to save it in that moment. So, Gatlu in kind of a perilous situation.
Yeah, it's going to be scary. Honestly, you could consider an option like Fly to be a little more defensive. However, every time we've seen Gatlu picking up this Pokemon, it has almost entirely been Brave Bird. So I don't see any reason to dissuade from that too often. Bruv is going to lock in that Lapras again, and Megu is going to pick up the Meowscarada. Snow with the Leafeon, okay.
Yeah, this is very exciting. Now, Meowscarada is a Pokemon that I know you have been very excited about since kind of the buffs. Even after that, it feels like it's doing very well. And Toon finally locking in that Buzzwole, which we've seen a couple looks from this Buzzwole here today.
Yeah, I think a really good option to Leafeon in particular. I like Buzzwole in that scenario. Meowscarada can be a little bit trickier. However, we talk about how Double Team can eat up move cooldown sometimes.
Yeah.
It also, you can get your Double Team super powered into you. So, a bit of a scary sight to see with Toonslim on that Buzzwole, but Megu does have a lot of hours on this Pokemon. Can you at least agree that Meowscarada is a cat?
Yes, Meowscarada is a cat. The legendary dogs are dogs. That's why they're called the legendary dogs.
I want to get along, so we're going to keep moving. And of course, yeah, no, I think this is going to be a really fun one. Obviously, I've been a big fan of Meowscarada. In my personal opinion, I just think players have started to get good at Meowscarada.
Yes.
I think globally, we've started to really understand the impacts it can have on the game, where it's most important, where it's most prevalent, and I think some of these players, like Megu, stepping up to the plate, can prove how powerful this speedster really is.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how all this is going to play out in this next match. Some different looks here from Gen 5. A lot of similar stuff, but a lot of new stuff here from Nouns as well. Adesu on that Espeon was just an absolute force in Game 1.
So good. It does have that cursed incense as well, just making everything a little bit trickier. And we'll have that Blissey and Slowbro to back it up. Shades of Worlds Year 1 looking like on Gen 5's roster.
Well, here we go, Zoinks. Gen 5, your purple team. Nouns Esports, your orange team. Nouns up one game here in your grand finals for EU. Of course, this will be the champion of the entire region, winning the regional finals. Both of these teams, however, will be heading to the World Championships representing EU.
Yeah, we couldn't have written it up any better between these two teams. Countless matches between Nouns Esports and Gen 5 throughout the year, and what a way to close out the storyline for Season 4 of EU than yet another matchup between these two EU titans.
It's actually a great question for our stats team. They might be countless matches, but I'm curious, how many times have these teams faced off this season? If we could get that, that would be very cool. As we have Lapras moving forward right here, trying to get some big secures. Obviously, they want to slow down Raichu. They want to make sure it does not hit level 5 early.
Yeah, we did see yet another Hoopa invade. This time, obviously, it's Inder selecting that Pokemon. They did head into the enemy central area. Leafeon, a tricky one to go against. However, if you could predict what path Leafeon is going to move towards, you likely get a free buff since it only needs to one.
And here we go. Megu trying to get a secure right there. Obviously, Meowscarada, not amazing, really, until it hits that big power spike at level 7, right? Until then, it's good. It's got some decent burst damage, but it's really not anything to write home about.
Well, in terms of early game, you could have the Leafeon try to carry some of that as Snow gets some early damage in. However, you would hope that your Leafeon at this point of the game is closer to that level 7 breakpoint. Only at level 5 due to Nouns' constant pestering of that enemy central, whether it's Inder, whether it's Adesu, it feels like Snow is never being left alone.
Now, we do have Toon here at level 5 right now, and they are picking things up and putting them down, trying to get big secures right here. Obviously, Meowscarada looking to evolve here from Florgato.
We did see a little bit of the Sazero moveset, so no eggs this time around will be safeguarding. Will also allow the helping hand to really amp up this Alolan Raichu's power.
Talonflame now, level 7 here, looking to make a play happen. Blissey in some trouble, but they decide to go in on Slowbro, move further in with the aerial ace. It looks like Leafeon's in some trouble. Do they keep this push? Huge eject button picks up the KO.
Yeah, Ender even given a little bit of move speed bonus with that trick attached to the Talonflame. Gives him just enough space, including that eject button, to take out that KO. Megu and Sazero will be scoring on that top side. Obviously, you mentioned how tough that early game was for Megu, allowing them to catch up a little bit now with those scores in the top goal zone.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you really want your levels here on Meowscarada. Now you have both of your moves. You can fight in some really interesting ways. You can, mess with your opponents with double team, flower trick, incredibly powerful, good secure tool. And we have a KO in the bottom path, 2 in the bottom path.
Wow.
2 members of Nouns go down. Gotlu has to peel back to the goal zone.
Yeah, Lunder and Snow combined for some really massive KOs, especially due to the tempo of this game so far. Gen 5 needed something to go in their direction, so that is a huge play for them. Nouns Esports, though, probably still in a good position. It is this Registeel fight. Bruv showing up with this Lapras, only at level 6, but still a very tough presence to move past.
Yeah, and we see Talonflame just ready to move in, deciding to fight the enemy team. Big time KO, Slowbro goes down. They're looking for another one. Unite move from Talonflame hits a little bit of nothing as they're trying to get the KO on Lunder right now, peeling back into the Brave Bird. Talon gets another one. Snow moving in with the Unite move, picks up a KO, but multiple members of Gen 5 are down. Here comes Meowscarada, though, level 9 with the Unite move, possibly looking to move in and fight. Instead, they peel back towards Registeel. Kind of an awkward position right now for Gen 5 as they are looking to rip this apart, and now multiple members of Nouns pushing forward. The secure on the flower trick looks like it's going to happen, and it does, and now they can move forward and continue this fight towards their goal zone, or they can possibly peel back.
Yeah, sick looks from Megu to not only get that objective secure, but also a knockout onto the opposing Hoopa would prevent anybody from rotating towards that top side to stop that Leafeon score that we just saw a moment ago. Snow making some good plays in that team fight as well. Someone needs to shut down this Talonflame in some of these big fights, and Snow stepping up to the plate. That last one, that is going to be the Super Swole Slam from Toonslim. Smackdown to reposition a Unite moving Megu, but what a 1v1, bit of a 2v2 as both supports rise up to help their top path Pokemon, and they're both going to walk away.
Yeah, really nice catch there on the Leafeon, obviously using that Unite move on the highest level on the enemy team. Always a solid choice, but this is turning into a refight very quickly here, Zoinks. Regieleki being chipped slightly by both of these squads. Talonflame, Gotlu making to the top path. Here comes the trick. Brave Bird looking to make something happen, moving in with the aerialist. Huge flame sweep, catches just about everybody from the side of Gen 5, sweeping them up and putting them in the bin as Regieleki walks.
But behind the scenes, Spraggles and I are casting off the biggest Unite screen known to man, and still there was no members of Gen 5 on our screen after that Unite move from Gatlu. Impressive stuff, but Snow with a nice counterpunch on this Leafeon in the central area, picking up a KO streak of 2, completely alone, unassisted KO streak of 2 from Leafeon. Impressive stuff from them.
Yeah, it feels like, every time one team takes an inch, the other team takes it right back. Very close match so far, 68-37. And just like game 1, these two teams are brawling, slugging it out. I don't feel like anyone's playing this slow. They're looking to win every moment.
Yeah, we were talking about that stylistic change-up and how Gen 5 would adapt. So far, so good in this game number 2. Bro, with a fast track all the way to the top side. Looks like maybe trying to support Gatlu for a push, but looks like nothing of the sort will be happening at the moment, but a second try always in the bag.
Yeah, they are looking to score here in this top path as Registeel is getting ripped apart here. Already at half, we have Ender bringing the team possibly down through this portal, and here they come. Lapras, Slowbro with the slow beam. Registeel leashing and getting all of its HP back. Leafeon comes in with a huge Unite move. Buzzwole up into the air trying to take someone down, and Talonflame crashes in. That's going to be a double and a flame sweep into a little bit of nothing there from Gotlu, but a huge play as they're coming back with the Brave Bird. Registeel at half, almost completely gone as they're looking for the secure, and they do finally get it.
Wow, proof of concept for this Lapras composition, able to withstand a Leafeon Unite move and still be at around half of of their HP bar. Very impressive from Grub, able to kind of ignore that big push by Snow, and then of course the rest of the team just capitalize on that Registeel. This defensive tank that we have not seen in a minute already starting to showcase what it brings to the table.
Yeah, some pretty great stuff here from Nouns as we're heading into the second half of this match, right? Meowscarada feels like it has not had its moment yet. We've seen its Unite move a couple times, but it just really hasn't had the impact yet. As we have Meowscarada moving in right there, you can see kind of using double team in a reverse way than you would possibly expect, right? Actually moving in yourself and then peeling back with the double team. A play I love when skilled Meowscarada players can make it.
Yeah, all right, Snow trying to step up yet again. Level 13 on this Leafeon. Pretty late Unite move, but also a fast charging one. But Gatlu from the other side of the map, from their own goal zone, stealing away that Regieleki and brought back to safety by Ender, and they're looking for even more.
Wow, these Brave Birds are incredible. Another one lands. That's a triple KO. You're welcome, as the top path is sieged by Regieleki. The points are raining in. Nouns scoring in the bottom path, 281 to 68. A match that was very close is now very far away. And here comes Ender for a big 40. Even if Ender goes down here, the KO timer won't be bad. 12 seconds. They will be back in time for Rayquaza. Nouns just needs to make sure that Gen 5 doesn't rip immediately, and they should be set. 68, 322. Things are looking great for Nouns.
Yeah, Gatlu with some worthy expenditures of the cooldowns there, specifically in their Unite move. Mega just trying to harass the enemy side with these double teams. Bruv does slow beam that Buzzwole to start things off, though.
Yeah, here comes the slow beam. Gatlu flying in, looking to make a KO happen. He does. Picks up 2. Megu in some trouble in this bush, as Nouns is going to rip this thing off the board. They're not going to give Gen 5 an opportunity to come back in this match. The Leafeon Unite move does pick up a KO. Meowscarada picks one up as it's crashed down by the Brave Bird. We're going to see if Gatlu can make anything happen. The Flower Trick brings him down to half. Snow at half HP stays in the fight. Was it a mistake? I don't know. Both speedsters disengage. Megu right now gets caught by a flame sweep and raised back at full HP.
The Talonflame T-Bone gonna take out the Meowscarada. Tough look for them. Toonslim just guarding the Rayquaza at this point. They're at a scoreline of 322, so making sure that team doesn't panic in that moment and instead make sure no one can enter that Rayquaza pit. Good coverage by a defensive Buzzwole.
Gatlu moving in, looking for a huge Brave Bird. Catches 2. The Bliss Assistance onto the Alolan Raichu as it peels back towards the fight. The boosted attack's doing insane amounts of damage right now, but Slowbro goes down. Talonflame misses with a Brave Bird right here. With 50 seconds left on the clock, Gen 5 needs to make a play, and their play is Rayquaza. The Flower Trick is not on it yet. The Brave Bird lands, picks up a KO on Raichu, and it is secured by Gen 5, but it looks like too many of them are going to go down.
All right, so Meowscarada picking up that Rayquaza. At least one score will go in. 100 points for Megu. Leafeon from Snow will be putting in another with only 30 seconds remaining in this matchup. I do not think we have the points in pocket to turn this around.
They don't have points in pocket yet, but they do have shields. However, the points are raining in from the side of Nouns. 294, 482. If somehow Gen 5 could have stopped that, this match was incredibly close. But Nouns, instead of taking this fight, instead of trying to stop them from scoring, they actually went and scored on their own, and it looks like Nouns is going to take game number 2 right here. What a fight.
Yeah, impressive late-game presence of mind from Nouns Esports to understand even though things get a little risky, Snow picks up a couple of knockouts on that Leafeon to make sure you know you have 300-some points in. Whew, okay, maybe not as close as we were thinking it would end up. 496 for Nouns Esports, close behind, but not a win. 442 for Gen 5.
Yeah, you saw another 100 from Leafeon first ban. Nouns Esports is going to have those second 2 picks. This is where it all comes down for Gen 5. I mean, the tournament is on the line right now. Their backs are against the ropes. Throughout the rest of this best of 5, they need to keep winning.
Yeah, a very, very tough task, specifically against Nouns Esports, who have just had such a storied history within this region. Gen 5 changing things up a little bit at the very least. That will be a Hoopa ban instead, so a little bit of an adjustment. Nouns Esports were to stick to that Suicune and Zacian ban while on the orange side.
So this is interesting. We've been seeing Snorlax banned a ton, especially in this matchup right here. Not only is it not banned, it's stolen away by Gen 5. Hoopa taken away from Ender, but they decide not to go with the Duck and instead go with Blissey here.
Okay, interesting. Wanting to maybe take that away from Sazero, really feels like they're forcing Sazero onto Psyduck in these draft phases. I mean, we saw the Blissey picked for them when it was available in that last draft. Now with the Hoopa ban Blissey pick, we're really kind of coloring what the pick is going to be for the Gen 5 support.
When I see a second pick from Nouns being Lapras, and we already have Snorlax on the side of Gen 5, I don't think there was any question that this was going to be taken, right? It was not going to be taken by Gen 5. However, this does hide what Nouns is planning to bring out to the fight. And you see a lot of teams do this, right? Where they're picking their defenders and supports early so they can attempt to hide whatever their strategy is for later in the draft and make it a little more difficult to counter some of their carry Pokemon.
And the opposite is true. It makes it a little bit easier to play around what the opponents are picking as well. So you have a bit more information when picking your damage carries who are a little more matchup dependent than some of these evergreen supporter and defenders.
Yeah, it feels like every supporter and defender is incredibly good. And Gotlu now grabbing this Phalanx into the side of Gen 5. And I'm wondering how this is going to feel into something like a Alolan Raichu. I'm very curious to see how Phalanx plays into it.
Yeah, on paper, I'd say bad.
That's what it feels like, right? It feels kind of bad.
I guess what we'll see the opposite option. Snow going to dive into a new well as well with this Zarina. Mega going to return to the Metagross. And if there's anything about Gen 5's playstyle in these Grand Finals specifically, what does concern me is Yutao is resorting back to these defender picks with the experience share. So far in the tournament, when they found success, it has been when they kind of go off the beaten path. We're going to go traditional. Toonslim going to end our draft with a Greninja.
I absolutely love to see Toon on Greninja right here. You and I were talking kind of before broadcast just a lot of the Pokemon we wanted to see, and I think we both agreed Greninja underrated right now. I think this is a solid Pokemon. Now, of course, like you said, a lot of carries can be pretty matchup dependent, but I do think Gren has a lot of great matchups, and this thing has a Unite move every 1 second. It's incredible. It feels incredibly strong right now. Build that we're seeing right here, they're going to go with the new item, that Excel Bracer, as well as a Curse item.
I think that's maybe the biggest deal for Greninja right now. Not even just the new item, but the ability to kind of drop the attack weight off of the compositions. It felt like when we did see that niche Greninja play, it was dependent on early game scoring. Not an easy task for a Froakie in a lot of these very high-powered early game bottom paths. So having Greninja change that up a little bit might be a huge help for them. We're going to be jumping into our game very shortly. A lot of stacking on the side of Gen 5. One other thing of note in this draft that we didn't mention is we do have the Umbreon stacking that attack weight.
Yeah, that's true. So, I mean, most likely we're going to be seeing Wish, right, when you see Umbreon stacking that attack weight, so you can get bigger and bigger heals. But Umbreon does well in general with more attack. It has a low base stat, but every little bit of attack that you can give it is pretty consequential. Gatlu here going full attack. We've got the attack weight. We've got the weakness policy. We have the Excel Bracer. We're just looking to make Phalanx as powerful as possible. And depending on which build you go, you want to burst either way. You want to use a ton of burst damage with Phalanx. Well, here we go, everybody. Gen 5, your purple team. Nouns Esports, your orange team. Nouns coming from the winners bracket here in your grand finals. They are 1 game away from being your EU champions.
Yeah, Gen 5 with their backs against the wall. Nouns Esports, the bully in this situation, asking for the lunch money and a regional championship.
Yeah, and I think they're going to get it here if Gen 5 can't pull out something interesting. However, I feel like Gen 5 is trying every single match, throw a new strategy at them, throw something different, see what we can make work right here as we have Metagross brawling with Phalanx.
Yeah, getting out-leveled a little bit by the Phalanx. Obviously, it is very small portions in this early game, but so far looking all right for the side of Nouns. Toonslim joining the fray here on the top side.
Yeah, Toon getting aggressive on the top side, and we have Zarina. Now, we didn't talk much about this. I think Zarina is actually very, very good. We just don't see it as much in the West. It feels like a lot of the Eastern teams play a lot of Zarina, and we're going to see how it works in this match. And we do have Stomp Zarina.
All right, so Snow equipping that Stomp Zarina. It's kind of like a Leafeon Unite move if you think about it. Every single time you do that off cooldown. Brav going to be trying to hold down this goal zone with these small amount of points in pocket. Yutao will at least be able to get some scores, but Snow just kind of never ending on this attack on the bottom tier 1.
Brav is able to pick up a KO right there, and that Zarina is level 6, which is a very scary place for it to be. Continuing to stack as well in that bottom path. That was a great start for Gen 5.
Yeah, will be this Trop Kick Stomp build, and if anything else well. Snow will be on another one of these Pokemon that is very comfortable 1v1ing in a lot of situations. They can split push, they can take some wild flanks during team fights, and be very comfortable no matter the opposition they run into. Zarina, very self-dependent.
Yeah, you know what I'll say is Greninja does not like running into Zarina.
No.
That single target Unite move is very powerful. A lot of damage, however, onto the side of Gen 5. Gotlu looking to make a KO happen, but it's Zarina that picks up a KO, and one back the other way. Blissey actually with the secure.
Yeah, and we do see that Phaling's caught in a mean look. So Sazero locking in that maneuver. I don't think we see that as often anymore. I particularly much more a fan of the foul play, but it will likely be the mean look wish. They full supportive suite for the Umbreon.
Yeah, and I think that's, I mean, really, however you want to play it, I think is quite powerful.
Sure.
There's some really good options. You mean, look, you're going to land every single stomp because it's kind of that exact radius, right? Desu now making their way down to this bottom path, seeing what they can secure here. As Zarina heads up to the top path right here, caught there by the Iron Head. KO over to the Greninja. Huge Unite move right away, pushing in for a double KO, and here we have Toon just doing some dancing in the top path, seeing if anyone from Gen 5 wants to join them, and now they're going to score 149-47. After scoring like that, too, they're going to quickly have that Unite move back.
Massive overdunk to start this matchup as well. They're going to get the Regieleki with the Phalanx and Greninja combo, and even some early damage, the first to damage the Regirock, but it is a quick adaptation by Gen 5. Yutao and Sazero taking great amount of space. Look at that block.
Wow, beautiful stuff. Once again, Espeon securing just about everything.
Doesn't matter.
I mean, you know, he's got it figured out, man. He's able to secure it, which is really impressive. And now we have Nouns just raining in points in this top path. 243-47, and we're not even halfway through this here. Absolute domination from Nouns.
Yeah, I hate to ring the alarm bells already for Gen 5 and their fans, but this is looking dire. Nouns Esports on tournament regional final champion point at the moment, and Gen 5 just certainly not able to do a whole lot to counterpunch.
Yeah, there is a question as to whether or not, I mean, Gen 5 is just defeated in this moment, or they can make their way back in. One, you know, glimmer of hope that they have is all their Unite moves are going to be coming online soon. And if you want to make a big play, get some of that catch-up experience, this is the time you can do it. We have Lunder moving in, trying to make something happen against the Desu, pushing forward, and they do pick up a KO. Toon, however, level 12 in this bottom path with a Unite move of his own.
Yeah, and you mentioned it before, the cooldown of that Unite move so incredibly short, you can throw that thing out as many times as you see targets. Toonslim hiding in that tall grass to potentially call out a Gen 5 bottom goal zone push.
Yeah, this is a tricky moment for Gen 5. They're going to need to make some decisions, and they're going to have to really commit as a team because they're behind in experience, and the only way that you're going to beat a team when you're behind in experience is to Pokemon Unite as a squad and make something happen. Toon now heading back to base, and you've got Nouns trying to figure out how they're going to want to play this. The quicker they can get Regieleki in the top path, the faster it will respawn, giving them an opportunity to use it at the end of the game as well.
All right, Utah trying to separate Inder for the rest of their squad, but is not able to cut them off completely. 20 points will go in as the rest of Gen 5 are going to try to push this fight forward.
Yeah, and here we go. Desu with the Unite move. Big-time Unite move from Metagross. Not able to get a KO right here. Bruv just surviving as long as he possibly can in this bottom path. Finally goes down. Greninja Unite move moves in, but Zarina was in a scoring animation during it. Snow still remaining in this fight. Greninja level 12 right now. Picks up the KO with the Water Shuriken. Regieleki marching towards that home goal zone, and we do have Metagross there to stop it.
Yeah, Megu will recall, so at least someone will be able to stop that Regieleki from going into that tier 1. Gatlu was hoping the opposite would be true, and the enemy central area. Unite moves straight in between the two, and I think the Phalanx going to walk away with a knockout onto the Alolan Raichu.
Yeah, Phalanx just getting really aggressive right here. We have the Zarina Unite move back the other way to try to pick up a KO, but level-wise, this is getting out of hand here. It's a level 13 Greninja right now, and look at that overcap. 84-344 here at the 4-minute mark of our match. Things are going very well for Nouns. They can taste it right now. They're very close to being your EU champions.
What a time to see the most locked in, most focused Nouns Esports that we have in this entire tournament, potentially, and very likely, the most we've seen them like this entire season.
Yeah, they just look absolutely incredible right now. Greninja level 14 here. They will be heading to Ray at level 15 almost assuredly, which is massive. I mean, just so much damage, such a crazy high attack stat at that point is able to delete a lot of what's on the other side. However, we do have multiple members of Gen 5 getting ready. I mean, almost a level 13 Zarina, Alolan Raichu is 12, Metagross is 12. They're not out of this game yet.
No, and they're going to try to make a little bit of experience happen on the top side. Megu's going to try to gyro ball, hit a few targets, and they're only going to hit the Phalanx. Snorlax buying some time, but now it looks like Nouns Esports going to be joining the fight.
And here we go, pushing forward right here. We have Yutao trying to peel away from this goal zone as soon as throwing the water shurikens in. Alolan Raichu picks up a KO on the Espeon, and it looks like that might be all that Gen 5 can get in this fight.
Yeah, I think only one Unite move expended there for the Alolan Raichu, so all things considered, not the biggest expense. Yutao already down to half HP, though, trying to take down this Regieleki. Unite move going to bring him back up to full, but it's stolen by Gatlu's Phalanx.
Devastating moment here for Gen 5 as multiple members are going to go down as they try to stymie this push here. We have Greninja moving forward with a Unite move. We have multiple members of Gen 5 low on HP as Regieleki is walking. Nouns can finish this whole thing like an old school Zapdos if it makes its way to that home goal zone, but they also have the opportunity of Rayquaza, which hits the board in 10 seconds. Zoinks. Regieleki will go down. Gen 5 still in this thing.
And we've talked about great defensive positioning before. How about just taking the enemy central
Whoa!
home base? But it's full on rip time for Nouns Esports. Rayquaza the main focus. It's being brought down, and
it's
secured!
secured! Amazing stuff from Nouns. They go right for it. They look for the victory, and they take it away from Gen 5. They're not going to let them have a Rayquaza fight. They don't even need to, as Gen 5 now is pushing after this. One KO here, and multiple members of Nouns looking to score. 85 to 390, as we have two members of Nouns down here at this tier 2 to KO Gen 5. There you have it, everyone. It looks like Nouns are going to be your EU champions.
A minute and a half remaining in this matchup, and Gen 5 to make a comeback would have to do it without the help of Rayquaza. Nouns Esports just making a great play call. They spend a lot of Unite moves, and take a look at this. Nouns Esports getting their chance to pose as the regional finals they are. A minute left in the matchup, but they got to look good together.
Yeah, I mean, this is just one of those great moments. You know that you've won. You really know that there's nothing Gen 5 can do. An absolute dominant performance by one of the best teams in the world. They're going to be representing EU as their champions heading to the World Championships in Anaheim, and I don't think there could be a better team to do it. Nouns Esports is just incredible. They've had a phenomenal season, going from TTV in year 1, where Toon and Ender couldn't get it done in the moment where it really counted, that heartbreaking loss. Now the two of them back together with a dominant win here in the championships in EU. Incredible stuff. I cannot wait to see what they do at Worlds.
Yeah, what good momentum headed into that tournament. And not only the World Championships either. Nouns Esports, the winners of the final stretch play-ins, will be attending NAIC as well. A very important tournament when it comes down to, well, honestly, prize money at this point. And taking the tournament with their and momentum into the World Championships. Nouns Esports, your champions of Europe.
Beautiful stuff. Nouns has done it.